An 8-year wait is officially over because Five Nights at Freddy's is now playing in theaters and streaming on Peacock for the 5 people that have that streaming service. But I got to see it, and as a point of reference, I wouldn't call myself the biggest Five Nights at Freddy's fan, but I wouldn't call myself not a fan because I've played a bunch of the games, read a bunch of the graphic novels and novels in general, and have a bunch of the merchandise and toys and posters and whatnot. So I was intrigued in this movie. I was excited back in 2015 when it was first announced. Then it kept getting delayed and delayed and delayed and canceled and changing directors and whatever. But it's finally here, and it's getting awful reviews. But how was it? In my opinion, well, it's definitely not the movie that I would have wanted as a 7-year-old. But it's not bad by any stretch of the imagination. Getting the positives out of the way, Josh Hutcherson as Mike Schmidt is phenomenal. I mean, he brings the charm and most of the emotion in this movie, and he adds some personality to the role of the protagonist, and he's just a lot of fun to be around. Matthew Lillard as William Afton was also a fantastic add-on to the film. They were both some of the best parts of the film and genuinely great. Like, they were the core of this movie in terms of heart and emotion and all of that. Though the emotion didn't hit as hard as you would want it to, but it was still, something. It was something from a movie of this caliber. You wouldn't really expect a lot of emotion, so you got what you got, and it was good. The animatronics look phenomenal in live action. You've seen those photos, you've seen the trailers, and they look beautiful on the big screen. I advise people to see this on the big screen, especially if you're a FNAF fan, because everything just comes to life on the big screen. The animatronics are phenomenal, though I do have some issues with them barely doing anything. Like, they did very little in the grand scheme of things. I was shocked by that because I expected them to be in the core of everything, and they kind of were, but they kind of weren't. You'll see what I mean if you see the movie. This film provides some good scares for the younger audience, and in terms of a horror film, if you're going in for a Halloween horror film, adventure, whatever, it's not gonna provide that. I'm sorry, it's not scary at all. I mean, the Springtrap scenes were something, but at the same time, if you've seen a lot of horror films before, like Halloween or Friday the 13th or Nightmare on Elm Street or something like that, it's not gonna do much. It's a PG-13 rated horror film, and it still felt tame. It felt like a PG movie that could be used as kids' first horror film in a theater or whatever, quotation marks. It felt like a generically written PG rated horror film at times. And let me talk about the generic stuff because I really did feel like I've seen this movie like multiple times before. It has some very generic jump scares that you've probably seen before in like a countless other movies. I don't know, man. It didn't hit as hard as I wanted it to. I still had a lot of hope after the initial reactions because critics got it wrong for the Super Mario Bros. Movie. I'm a huge Super Mario Bros. Fan, and that movie did it for me. It was like fantastic in my opinion because of how diehard of a fan I am. But this one did really feel generic, and I think it was trying to please 1,000 different age groups that it ended up being half-baked for everybody. So there's that. I wanted this movie to be great, but it just quite wasn't there. It was a fun enough time. I would go see it in a theater for Halloween, but it was kind of a disappointment. I'd be lying if I didn't say I was disappointed by this film, because as a massive Five Nights at Freddy's fan, this wasn't it, but it was still a fun time. 7 out of 10.